were 24 kidnappings in Mexico City in the last 6 days. Have you protected a lot of children before, Mr. Creasy?
I don't know. Bodyguards gotta be close to people. You know, I'm no good at that.
You're the silent type. People are gonna appreciate that.
16 years of military experience, extensive counter-terrorism work.
What happened to your hand?
It's a birth defect.
No, it's not.
No more questions, that's it. Period, you hear me?
Peter just wants to be friends.
I regret that your profession needs to exist.
So do I, Marjorie.
He's like a bear.
Yeah?
Big, sad bear. Good things happen too, Creasy.
Yeah? Like what?
Like meeting me. Creasy, you're smiling.
Feet down! Feet down! Run!
What are you gonna do?
I'm gonna go get her. Anyone who gets in my way, anybody who profited from it, anybody who opens their eyes at me, I'm gonna kill him.
Tell me about Creasy. I'd like to understand him.
A man can be honest in anything.
It depends on how good he is at it.
Creasy's art is dead. He's about to paint his masterpiece.
Hey, welcome to Movie Umpers. My name is Bob Sham.
I'm Angela.
And the sounds here may be dogs or explosions or torture. You may hear the sweet sounds of torture. And because it is Portraits of the Artists all month long, and those two artists are two definitive black leading men who seem very different in personality, but most of the movie is centered around Denzel Washington. We are only doing one Tony Scott Denzel movie this month. They were known for working together quite a bit, but I think the one we picked is a fucking doozy.
Oh God, yeah.
I don't know what it is about this movie. There's one day you just got to eat all the donuts, right? You just got to you're going to have the third bowl of sugary cereal.
And then fire your editor.
Or make your editor just do hallucinogens.
Oh, sure. Yeah,
I think this is a good LSD movie. People don't really talk about this. Like, this is a movie you should watch when you're doing LSD.
There are some moments where it gets pretty dark.
I think you got to go to journeys when you're on your hallucinogens.
Yeah.
They're important. That's how you see inside yourself. But yes, I recommend being heavy on hallucinogens while watching the 2004 Tony Scott film Man on Fire. You know how people might try to watch like Pink Floyd and Wizard of Oz. Right when the gunshot goes off at PETA's swim meet, then you just start playing Corey Feldman's Angelic to the Core. full album. Turn on Man on Fire and just
Get out your blacklight posters.
yeah, make sure you're on LSD, shrooms, whatever, and just let it take you. Okay, Man on Fire. Also starring Dakota Fanning, fresh out of that Riri movie that
That was her first film. I Am Sam was her first film.
yeah, well, we were not kind to that movie.
I looked her up because I was curious what she's doing now. She has done some things, but as she got older, she's acted less.
And Christopher Walken is also in it. He plays like his old buddy. Mm-hmm. I guess they were assassins. You know Tony Scott, right? He directed Top Gun, Days of Thunder, The Last Boy Scout, True Romance, Crimson Tide. Do you know what his first movie was? The Hunger. I think it was like a vampire movie. You've seen it. Has Susan Sarandon,
I
David
love The
Bowie.
Hunger.
That was Tony Scott's first movie.
I mean, I love that movie. I think that's fun.
He's kind of got some fun. He's got movies that range from like, wow, this movie's pretty good to. He's just a very stylized guy.
It's so tonally very different from everything else that you listed. Like the
That's
rest
true.
of it makes sense.
I think
to go together.
Yeah, it was some very like erotic. That movie's like super erotic.
It is.
True Romance has, it's got some love eroticism.
I do love True Romance,
but everything else is just kind of more like pure Hollywood stylized action.
Yeah.
And we tragically lost Tony Scott in 2012. But an interesting guy. Ridley Scott seems more like I don't really think he's auteur, but one might push him closer to that camp than they would his brother Tony. And Tony Scott, it seemed like by the end of his life, he's just a dude smoking cigars and wearing like Ed Hardy shirts and shit. And now this, I don't even know how to get started with this movie. It also stars Marc Anthony, the singer.
It does. So, real quick, I think the plot is not that difficult to tell, but the weird thing about this movie is it starts out there's like a lot of cuts and a lot of like light flashes and everything's in this weird film.
Epileptics, whatever.
It could cause a seizure. It's
Good. I think so.
Epilepsy inducing. Is that maybe what you were trying to say?
It's
apoplectic.
It's a very rapid. We'll call it a very rapid movie.
Yeah, it's unsettling. I don't like it. And they're talking about how someone is kidnapped every 60 minutes.
Yeah, in Mexico.
And how you kind of get the idea that you do get your people back if you actually give the money.
They might lose.
They really just want the money. Yeah, we see this whole scenario play out at the very beginning where a young man gets kidnapped. His father pays the ransom. It's the same deal that we see later with Dakota Fanning, like wave your shirt out the thing, put in the ransom. They get the money. They dropped the kid off in the middle of traffic with no ear and in his underwear, right? But they got him back. So it's like a business. Then it cuts to, Denzel is visiting
Christopher Walken and his harem.
Well, he has a wife and a kid.
But he also
he's very in love with.
He also has this crib where bikini babes are just all over the place.
Live like a king down here.
Yes, but don't you get that sense? I actually really love Christopher Walken in this movie.
This movie feels like it was
like the 90s.
It feels like it was influenced by 90s music videos.
Absolutely.
Whether it be like fucking Come As You Are or like every Hype Williams. Feels like you could take all the 90s music videos and you're going to somehow come out with this movie.
And you really do, though, get the impression that he's not boning anybody except his wife. Like, he's desperately in love with this woman.
I don't know
But he likes looking. No, I got that impression that he likes being around all these girls. But, like, and I mean, at night, he's sleeping in the bed with his wife and his kid. That's this. He moved to Mexico for this woman. Before this, he and Denzel were assassins together.
Yeah, I guess they worked for the government or something.
Denzel's a big drunk.
They
were in the military.
They had a dark past.
Yes.
They did some bad things.
Yeah, and so Denzel is a drunk, and he doesn't have a plan, and so he's like, hey, stay here, be a bodyguard. People need bodyguards. Everyone needs a bodyguard here. And meanwhile, we find out that Marc Anthony is broke and had to fire his bodyguard, and his lawyer's like, you gotta get a bodyguard, just get a cheap one so we can keep your kidnapping insurance going.
You're right.
And his wife, who is played by, it's Rada something, I believe, but she looks so much like Charlize Theron. I kept having to tell myself that she was not a young Charlize Theron.
Well, they got a daughter. It's Dakota Fanning. Her
name is Lupita.
And this kid did not get a drop of her dad's genes.
No. Not a bit.
She's just so hilariously like toe-headed right in the middle of Mexico
She's so
City.
Pale and blonde.
Denzel's character, Creasy is his name.
Yes.
Is hired to guard this girl, but he's also a drunken mess, and he's very open about that.
And the mom loves him immediately because he's American, and that makes her feel good because she's American.
Yeah.
That's the only reason she gives.
Sure. These Americans... you
got to stick together.
If you go into a foreign country, go to the Burger King so you can feel safe.
And Dakota Fanning, PETA, immediately likes him and wants to be friends with him. And she starts calling her bear Creasy Bear because she says that he's like a big sad bear.
At first, is a little stern and kind of rejects the friendship. It's like, just
I'm not
a job.
paid to be your friend.
But the parents seem to come and go all the time, and so he has to be around this girl a lot, and they actually become like good friends. And because their parents are off traveling, I don't know why they wouldn't take the daughter with them if she's at risk of being kidnapped or anything. But so because
they're clubbing. She said they go out clubbing.
That's so.
The mom was like, I went from like, what hot club are we going to go to being worried about my daughter.
This movie strobes like you're
backwards.
At a club. So he becomes like her swim coach, and he teaches her how to swim better. And I think it's a big credit to this movie. They actually do convincingly, and I think it's also due to the acting. Dakota Fanning is not a bad little actor.
She's a great actress.
And in that it does successfully sell that they have a real connection here.
And that he really cares about her.
It actually really is quite cute.
Yeah, there's this moment later where Christopher Walken says that he cares so much about her because she taught him that it was okay to live again. Because there is a moment where, he stays at their house, like he lives there obviously to protect them, and he almost kills himself.
Right.
He actually literally pulls the trigger, but it doesn't fire.
Something happens with the gun.
Yeah, and he actually calls Christopher Walken in that moment, and Christopher Walken is like, bullets never lie. And so to him in that moment, he's also religious. He reads the Bible a lot, or he used to be religious, but there's this idea that the bullet wouldn't shoot because it wasn't his time.
Yeah.
Right? There's that idea. They keep saying that the bullet never lies.
That's my favorite Bible passage.
And he saves
the bullet didn't shoot because it wasn't its time. The bullet never lied.
It wasn't his time.
3 Corinthians 22:15.
He does quote some Bible verses at the sister at PETA's school, and she's so impressed with him.
There's a lot of corny one-liners here that you just can't help but just like. This is one where it's just like, I'm going to do all the cocaine, okay? I'm not going to sit here and analyze the quality of the cocaine. We're at a party. The cocaine's on the table. The rails are fat.
Yeah.
We don't do this often, but we're going to do all the cocaine tonight. That's what this movie is.
So he coaches her, and she wins her swim meet, which she's always said she's not fast enough. And he's like, no, he just teaches her to not be scared of when the gun fires. He teaches her that the shot is gonna set you free. When that gun fires, it sets you free to go and swim. And so she wins, and it's really great. And in that moment, the sister says to him, he says, her parents are not here today. And she looks at him and she says, well, today you're her father. And he gets this look on his face. And it actually, like you said, like you believe they really love each other. But I feel like in that moment, it got even deeper because he realized, like, I'm all she has at this moment.
He knows a mission, right? He knows a goal. And so it's just tied up as any mission, except it's something where he just protects instead of having to kill something.
Exactly. But then when she gets out of the pool and she runs and grabs him, Denzel is another man that, like, when he smiles big and real and full, it is like, he's so charismatic. She wins the meet and she goes to her dad and she's like, yo, Dad, I don't want to play the piano anymore. I want to full-time swim. And Dad's like, you gotta go to piano. And so Denzel takes her to this piano. It's kind of this sweet moment where he's on the street with the dog waiting for her, and you can hear her playing and belching and the teacher, like, arguing at her. And then all of a sudden the movie changes.
well, we've been waiting the whole time. We know a kidnapping's coming.
There were multiple times where we're like, is this it?
It seems like it's going to happen. I think we get a good hour before it actually occurs, right?
Yeah.
And so, yes, police roll up, blockade the street because the police are in on it, and some dudes come up. They've kind of been tracking a car.
And things start spinning. He's like looking.
They've written down most of the driver's license of a car that they keep. Yeah, that they keep seeing. And Denzel manages to kill like 4 of these dudes, 2 cops, but he gets shot up and they manage to kidnap Dakota Fanning.
Yes. And she runs back to him because she loves him. If she'd kept running, who knows? But she runs back and they grab her.
Now we're in this situation. He's in the hospital. The family has to make deals through their lawyers, played by Mickey Rourke.
This guy shows up who's in charge of the kidnapping division.
Also, we meet a reporter and a guy who works for Interpol. And they seem, you don't know at first. You think he's just kind of casually sexually harassing her, and I guess he is, but it's
not sexual harassment if you're also fucking and not mad about it.
But yeah, so she's openly questioning the corrupt police, and the most unbelievable part of this movie is that she doesn't get killed within 10 minutes.
No, they just scare her once, and then she does exactly what they were trying to scare her out of doing. There's
another point where she's supposed to have like some kind of photographic evidence, and they roll up on her with a shotgun, and they just threaten her. It's like, no, a fucking real Mexican organized crime, they would have blown her fucking head off and taken whatever she was holding right there.
Because they didn't want her to put the picture in the paper. But she fucking did it anyway. If you kill her, it's not going to happen. If you don't kill her, she could still fucking do it. And she did.
We're not promoting killing.
No, not at all.
We're just talking about how it would have actually happened. Like, the most unbelievable part is that they just didn't... Like, actual reporters reporting on cartels are literally getting executed on camera.
I know. He gets the Interpol guy sneaks him out of the hospital, and he kind of becomes friendly with Christopher Walken, and they get him into this like secret place to heal because he knows the cops are going to kill him. He's like, the cops are going to kill him if we don't get your friend out of here. And so Denzel, while he's recovering, they do a drop of money. They're supposed to try to get PETA, but it goes badly.
Yeah, someone interferes to take the money, and there's a big shootout, and the crime boss that they've been talking to, his nephew gets killed. The money's gone, right? They contact the dude again. The guy's like, my nephew died, and the whole thing went tits up. Sorry, it's over. And then just hangs up. So for the rest of the movie, it's assumed that Lupita is dead.
Yeah. When Creasy hears that,
it's revenge time.
And he immediately gets up way too soon. He needed to be in the hospital for like a month, but he's like, I gotta go. And obviously Christopher Walken knows how he is and who he is, and so he's like, we gotta go. And so he helps him get out.
Both the reporter, Interpol, and Walken are all like,
let's do it. Do it. Kill everybody. Oh, and he goes and sees the mom. And she's like,
what are you gonna do?
What I do best. I'm gonna kill him. Anyone that was involved, anybody who profited from it, anybody who opens their eyes at me.
You kill them all.
You kill them all.
You kill him. You kill every one of them.
You kill every one of them.
And so he's getting just thumbs up all over the place. Like, just go murder.
We're going to fuck people up the rest of the movie.
Interpol's basically like, we're going to follow him.
And you soak it in. Like, you've been waiting for this. The movie's been like, you know this kind of shit is coming, and it's been holding back for an hour. And then when he starts to, like, when he kidnaps a guy, tapes his hands to a steering wheel, and starts cutting off his fingers, you're like, yes! Yes! Blood! Torture!
Cut my fingers off!
You know who I am?
Eres miembro de la hermandad, ¿sí? ¿La hermandad? ¿Correcto?
Correct.
Okay.
Hey.
That part was so good. Oh, right after he kills that guy, that's when I think he gives the line.
Revenge is a meal best served cold.
like we say, the move is stroby. It's flashy. It has all the and it has all these like random shots. This is what makes it look like a 90s music video. It'll just be like Creasy's just floating in a pool with all his clothes on randomly.
Oh yeah, he's constantly floating in the pool, bleeding.
And there will be images of PETA as he's trying to hunt her down, almost like she's a ghost, even though we find out she's not really dead. And then, but it's like treated like she's a ghost observing his revenge. And also like the cover, like the filters, the colors change from shot to shot to shot. There's so many cuts in this movie, and it's like all over. Like it really does have this just kind of like, it kind of does lend itself to like a feeling of momentum. It does make it feel like there's so much rapid movement.
Yes.
But really the movie's like, it clears 2 hours long. Like it's a long ass movie, but it doesn't actually feel that long, right?
Okay. It doesn't feel that long. There's a lot of rapid movement, but then there's also these moments where someone just stares and thinks. So they make up the time. Like it's not like everything's quick. Like there are definitely these moments where he's just looking.
So let's talk about some other badass kills. He sticks a bomb up a guy's ass.
This is a charger. It's used by convicts to hide money and drugs. They stick it in their body. They tuck it up their rectum. You familiar with that? This, look at me. Pencil detonator. Timer. Used as a receiver, transmitter. C4. Highly explosive. You put them all together, you got a bomb. Not very sophisticated, but very powerful. That's what you have in your ass right now.
He does that. That's pretty cool. He goes into a club. He just looks funny. Like Denzel looks funny when he's trying to blend in with
when we
the
first
underground.
saw
to
him,
me.
I didn't even recognize him. I'm not joking. For a minute, I was like, "Who's that guy?"
Like, he looks like your dad trying to be cool.
Yeah,
he kind of does.
Yeah,
but he comes in and he finds this dude that's involved, who's like a white dude, and he's from New Jersey. Fucking shotgunning the fuck out of him and burning.
He kills
this
another
whole
guy
place
before
down.
that too, because he's basically looking for what's called the Guardian. So you find out that there's this whole police group behind all of this. The guy who he sticks a thing up his butt, he's the president of this like underground police brotherhood of baddies, right?
This movie's kind of a comedy, isn't it? Unintentionally.
I mean, we were laughing a lot,
like,
but I don't know
there's
that
certain
it's
points,
meant to be.
the one-liners. I don't know. I don't think so, but there is something genuinely
we were
funny
having a great time
about this.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are definitely like hilarious moments, and no one knows anyone's name. So like the police will like make sure that the kidnapping happens, and they hand them off to these people who hold the children until someone else comes to get them to like return them, right? Or the kidnapped victim. And so yeah, he kills these two guys, and there's a woman there, and he gets more info from her. And he actually doesn't kill her because she tells him, "I can give you the girl." And
it's not her, but they do end up rescuing another girl, and the reporter takes off and helps that girl out.
Comes and gets her.
So yeah. And eventually it leads him to figuring out who the voice is, the guy they talk to, and they track down his brother's place, and I guess it might be his sister. There's a lady there that's pregnant.
It's his wife, or his. They're separated, but it's his woman. It's like the voice's woman.
And so he's like torturing the brother, has him all shot up, shotguns his fucking hand off at some point, and so the voice, he manages to get into contact with the voice through them, and that's when the voice tells him that Dakota Fanning, PETA, is alive.
And he says, "I need proof of life. You need to ask her, what is the name? What does she call her bear?" And he hangs up the phone and calls back 30 seconds later and says, "Creasy bear."
I think she said Greasy bear?
Right? Well, he knows his name is Creasy because when he calls, he's like, "Oh yeah, Creasy."
I don't know why the bear is Greasy.
The mom calls him Creasy.
Yeah.
Which is not his name. It's bizarre. Anyway, that was a sidebar that bugged me the whole time.
Why? But that is his name.
No, his name is Creasy. She calls him Creasy.
She had a southern accent.
Yeah, she did. But yeah, so then he knows the girl's alive, so he makes a deal. He's like, "Let's make a deal. A life for a life."
So you bring the brother, but you give yourself, and the girl will go. And this is when he also manages to track a paper trail through deposits.
That's it.
And he realizes that their lawyer, played by Mickey Rourke, is in on it. He goes to confront him. He's already dead. I think he just was killed by the dudes. But then he knows that in order for that to work out, her father, Marc Anthony, had to be in on it too.
So before we get to the point where he is talking to the voice, and he goes to the house.
And he realizes when he's in contact with them, trying to figure it out, that one of the guys that he ends up killing and torturing and killing is like only half the money was there. The other one was paper. And that's when he tracks it down. He realized it was a scam so that Marc Anthony, because he was saddled with debts and from his family, and he inherited his scummy lawyer. Mm-hmm. And so they set up, he didn't intend on having the thing go tits up.
It was supposed to work. The reason it didn't work is because that man from the kidnapping division got involved. Because he also corrupt police steals the money. Everyone's trying to steal this money, and yeah, if the drop had gone the way it should have, Peter would have come back home. And so Ramos is what's his face's name, the father. He's obviously been feeling bad this whole time, but I love this scene because Creasy comes to the house and the mother comes in the room. And he looks at her and he's like, I want to talk to your wife. Or he looks at the man and he's like, you don't speak. I want to talk to your wife. And looks at her and he's like, did you know? Were you in on it? And she's like, what the holy fuck are you talking about? Because she definitely wasn't. And he doesn't even say it. He makes Ramos admit to his wife.
You got a wife, Creasy?
No, I don't have a wife.
Then you'll never know how hard it could be to tell your wife the truth is.
No, you have a wife! You tell me what happened!
He arranged for their daughter to be kidnapped. And so she truly looks at Creasy and she's like, you kill him or I will. And she leaves the room. And Creasy pulls out the bullet that didn't kill him and says, the bullet never lies.
He arranges with the mother
because the bullet never lies
to hold a shotgun against the dude's brother until the PETA is freed.
Trade, yeah.
And so they do the trade off, and he's been shot at this point when he went
He's dying.
When he went to the house to find the contact to get in touch with the voice. So they successfully free PETA. The brother, he's mangled up and he's missing a hand, but he does get his brother back, and they take Creasy and they get him in a car, but Creasy, he's dying anyway, and he dies in the car. And then we get John W. Creasy.
His birth and death
we get a ticker of his birth and death day, and we're like, wait, is this guy for real?
And then it talks about the voice getting arrested and the date that he got arrested.
It's like, wait, these are fictional characters.
I looked it up immediately. It was like, this movie is not based on true events.
I don't think, has there ever been a case where it shows like a ticker at the end as though it was based on a true story?
Never that I have seen.
With every corrupt cop,
they wanted you to think it was real.
With every corrupt cop and mafia member that he killed, it should have showed their death date and name. I want to see this in movies more often. With fictional characters.
Yeah.
Where every time a character dies, it shows their ticker. Every movie, fictional, should do this now. I think it should follow this movie's lead.
silly.
I thought that was so funny. But that's that movie. What a movie to behold. And if I get a hold of some hallucinogens, I'll have to come back to this movie for sure.
I would not want to watch this movie on hallucinogens.
I'm going to double the dose.
It would be terrifying.
Put on Corey Feldman's Angelic to the Core and then sit and just watch this fucking movie geeked out of our minds. What a movie to take in. I got to admit that I actually think this movie is just kind of fun as shit.
It is fun.
It really is just kind of fun as shit. And there's so many things about it that if I see it in certain other movies, the way it might be done in other, like, it's overbaked as fuck. It's overcooked as shit. I can't deny that. But the relationships are established pretty nicely.
Yeah.
I was surprised at how good that ended up being.
Yes.
And it held the action for so long that once you got in it, it was just like you were just eating the whole tub of ice cream. You're doing the fattest, all the rails of cocaine. This might not be a hallucinogen movie. This may be a cocaine movie.
Ugh.
Whatever you guys want to do. Whatever you want to do. Could be a caffeine movie, you know. But we're going to give this 1 through 5 and combine for best out of 10.
Yeah.
Angela, what are
Yes.
Rate Man on Fire from 2004, directed by Tony Scott, the late Tony Scott.
I think I'm going to say 3.25.
4.
Really?
Yeah. I don't think there's something about this. All the elements come together. It's like overdone in maybe the funniest and most fun way possible.
It is really fun. And the issues that I have with it are more with how it looks and the camera shots and the editing and all of that. I do agree that the relationships are great. Christopher Walken is brilliant.
He has a harem. That's 0.25 right there. And you just keep adding. Suppository bomb.
There's a bird in
this movie. That's a 0.5. Yeah. There's a bird. 0.25.
There's a dog.
There's a dog. 0.5. The line, revenge is best served cold. That's 0.75 right there.
The bullet never lies.
You just keep, the bullet never lies. Bible quotes.
With her own money, she buys him a necklace from the patron saint of lost causes and puts it in a bear box. Okay. I'm going to go up to a 3.5.
Okay, and there's also a scene, and I couldn't find the clip of it because this movie clips that you find online are definitely focused post-kidnapping. But the song... At one point, Creasy buys from
Linda
a street
Ronstadt.
stand a best of Linda Ronstadt collection, but he only plays her cover of Blue Bayou.
Yeah.
And so Blue Bayou keeps popping up in this movie. I don't know why. I don't know how it's supposed to connect, but I couldn't find it. I wanted to find it so bad, but there's a part where Blue Bayou starts playing, and Peta's in the house, in her room, and then while Linda Ronstadt's rendition of Blue Bayou plays, she jumps up and it's slow motion, falls upon her bed, and it's just like, you gotta concentrate to overcook your meat this much.
You know, the Blue
This
Bayou
isn't an accident.
Comes around and around and around, and then that's what he says to her at the end when he says, go home, go to your mom, go home. And she says, where are you gonna go? And he goes, I'm gonna go home too. To the Blue Bayou.
Of course it's a 4.
Oh, I looked up when was the first use of revenge is best served cold. I mean, it's a proverb, but the first time it seemed to be done in a movie was in Wrath of Khan.
And there you go. Here, take a look. It's a B+, in league with Eyes Wide Shut, In Bruges, Miracle on 34th Street, Role Models, Bad Santa, Collateral.
I think it makes sense to be in league with like In Bruges and Collateral for sure.
Man on Fire is at least as good as those movies. And I also find that there is a rewatchability here for me. This movie should have some kind of like a cult appreciation, like how they've done with Rocky Horror or The Room, where they do certain things when certain things happen in the movie. Like when Blue Bayou plays, you hold up your copy of The Essential Linda Ronstadt or something like that. Or like maybe you bring actual bullets whenever, he fails to kill himself. You throw bullets in the theater.
Yeah. When he says revenge is best served cold, you yell, ice cold!
Yeah. This movie deserves that type of treatment, I think. And like you wave a Bible around. Stuff like that. But yeah, that's Man on Fire. I think it's a solid 4. And so there you go. And we're going to get a little... I haven't seen the one yet that we're talking about on Friday. Our theme this week has been artists in service, whether it be a military past or in dedication to someone else. And other Denzel characters we've encountered this month have military backgrounds, Equalizer, Devil in a Blue Dress.
Yeah.
But there's something seems to be, the service is focused here. And so we'll be talking about a movie I haven't seen yet. I think it's directed by that dude, what's his first name, Zweig or something? He's worked with Denzel before. But Courage Under Fire, which I believe co-stars Meg Ryan.
I have seen this movie.
So that is... I
was a big Meg Ryan fan.
This Friday, that is what we will be discussing. So check the show notes for links to other places to find us. Like, subscribe. Tell us what you think about Man on Fire. Did you revel in it as much as I did? Like, subscribe, leave a comment, correction, fun facts. I love those. And in the meantime...
Revenge is a dish best served cold.
Jingle